Hey, yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning into this episode of World of Tanks. And we have Dimmons_1. He's in a Centurion 7-1 Tier 9 British medium tank. This is a really good tank. Lots of depression, good turret, decent mobility, nice gun. You can see what he's going to do here with this T-54 Mod 1. Just puts a nice little shot, drops 430 into that guy. And we are here on D-Day, actually Overlord, it's called D-Day in the files. That's why I have so much trouble with this. I'm always looking at the files and they have different names. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. All right, let's pause here for a second. This is a good game. I'm not going to take anything away from Dimmons. He does a nice job here. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about game flow and possibilities and prioritizing. And just take a look as we go and think about this while you're watching Dimmons play arguably a great game. Especially damage-wise. Ends up being a win. I'm just going to throw that out there. But look at this with a critical eye while I do the same thing. And we'll talk about it as we go. What were some of the things, if there were any, that he could do better? Or how was his prioritization of where he went and what he did? So we'll leave that there. I'm sort of giving away the farm with that. But I think it's an interesting conversation. Takes a little shot at the Carnarvon AX there. I think it's an interesting conversation because it goes along with talking about game flow and how to read a match and where you go. And that really is the big one that people struggle with the most in this game. A lot of people can get pretty good at trading, pretty good at understanding how to fight their tank. I can go hold down on this spot because I know it's here and I have a Centurion 7-1 and I'm good at that, noted. But what is going on in this game? And what's going on in any game that you're playing in? Where do you go and how do you try to affect the game? And is it the best move? Even with a good result, was it the best move? So let's pause it here. He seems to be running away from the west side, which I probably would do as well, because I haven't mentioned the deployment of the two teams, but holy cow. Very interesting, isn't it? But you have to react to what you're given. This is what we're given. We can complain. I can do a whole video about how you don't send a bunch of people down to the beach, but that doesn't matter right here, right now, because that's what these two teams did. Panzer 7's headed down there, the Centurion, the T-62. I think there's even another tank buried in there, T-25 Pilot 1. And then the enemy has quite a force, the Object 140, the Grillet, the IS-4. Holy cow. But Dimmons' team has really given up on the west side, and it looks like there's plenty of tanks over there to make his team miserable. Now, if you were to ask me to bet money right now, without having watched the result, and hopefully without having seen Dimmons' result because it ends up being good, which I've already given away. But if you would have bet me money right now, before I saw all of that, I would have said, yeah, there's about an 80% chance of a loss right here. I say 80, and maybe I'd lower it to 70, only because there's so many enemy tanks down on the beach also, along with Dimmons. But they've given up map control to a large extent by allowing guys to filter through on the west. So let's watch what happens here. I think Dimmons does a pretty nice job, actually, of falling back and realizing that he can't handle the truth. He's not able to hold that. But looks like the Udez puts a shot into the 705 and makes him think a little bit better of it. And Dimmons falls back to a good point. So I thought that was a good idea. I think he went to the right spot early, looked for some shots, saw things were going bad, and didn't sit there and die. And that's about all you can ask a lot of times. Now, we're going to have a little bit of a gunnery issue with this guy, which seemed to be kind of pointing right at him instead of lead fire, and I'll show you what I mean when he gets a couple shots. Does a nice job waiting, goes ahead and puts his gun out in front. That dude's showing no indication of slowing down, and wow, I think I would have lead fire that guy just a little bit. The good news is you've got a nice velocity on that shell, but see how you're just kind of aiming at the back end? Put it on his front sprocket, in which you were there, and then you let him move a little bit further through. Nice job avoiding that shot. That was well done right there. But unfortunately, the spotter is through, and there goes my Udez. Oh, man. I think he notices that, so he starts to fall back. Right now, I believe he's really doing pretty much the right thing. You might want to go to your gold here, but that's going to go into a track. It doesn't penetrate it. You're going to have a hard time with the 705 anyway, and the 705 knows he probably owns you, so he's just going to come at you like a spider monkey here. He can even go slightly hold down on that little bump there, so I think this is a good idea. Just get on out, get away from that guy, and now I'm just going to pause it again. I'll take a look at what's going on and tell me whether you think they're in a good spot or not. Man, it looks grim, doesn't it? It really does look grim. They're stuffed into a corner. A good number of their tanks and power are down on the beach. The JT's way in the back, and I just really felt like the Oho, Super Conqueror, Dimmons, the 44, and the FV were about to get gobbled up. The only thing going for them is the IS-4, the Grille, the 140, and now a TS-5 plus the LHMTV are all down on the beach. That's really helping them. If 2 or 3 of those had been up top, I think this is over very quickly. But let's watch what happens here. Dimmons falls back, and I see him just completely bail out of this position. Now, the danger of staying in that position back there is that, yes, they've got guys here, the Super Conqueror, shooting him in the side, especially if he's attempting to use this hill at all. And the 705 plus God knows how many others are probably moving around through here, but they've also lost the bull. For my money, I think Dimmons, I might have stayed in this general area until the Super Conqueror proved that he was going to be a threat. He's actually knocked it down a bit, and you have a Super Conqueror keeping him busy too. So I really feel like the spotting here for you was the best idea. The problem is you don't have a lot of support. The T-32 is actually AFK. He never started playing. But you do have the JT that you could be getting lights for, and he can shoot across here and give them trouble. The other thing about being on this back slope here is that if these guys, the red is trying to come up and over this little hill, you get them lit much earlier. But let's see what happens. Super Conqueror is working on that guy, and there's the PTA. And the PTA actually gets a shot on you because you went where you went. Now, yes, there were going to be multiple guys coming up and over that potentially shooting you, but because you're not there keeping them honest, now these guys, the Oho and the Super, are exposed to what's going on there. I really think I would have stayed up there, but let's see how we handle it. Definitely done a nice look at the C-47 going through the trees right there. That was pretty cool. Looking for a shot on him. Now, yeah, so I would have positioned myself a little better because the top of that building is definitely causing you an issue right there. And down goes the Oho. Super Conqueror is stuck behind that building, can't really get away. You've got a bit of a hold down advantage here, which is nice. And unknown why the Leopard PTA decides to do that bozerific move, but he did. You can feel real safe when you get up into that bowl and there's all those bushes. You feel like you can just pop over and start shooting people, but if there's a lot of guys like Dimmons or the JT or anyone close enough to spot you, it's not a great position. All right, so let's stop right here because we're kind of in a critical phase. I said he probably should have stayed on that corner and started working hold down on those guys that were filtering through. But think about it from your standpoint. You know, we talk about, oh, it was a good game. I won, so I must have done the right thing. Well, not necessarily. It's the old economist's question, better than what? You did good, but better than what? There's a lot of other whats out there. Definitely a lot of other whats. And this game is definitely in the balance as well. It's not won by either side necessarily, but it's looking a little bit bad for Dimmons' team based on positioning. And even the beach is looking bad. It looks like those guys are starting to beat his beach defenders down there. The good news is his team is rallying together and pushing up towards the middle bit. And it looks like they're going to start working over the guys that are pushing into the backfield. So the question then at this point is, what is the best move, right? What is the best move? Do I, A, go down and start shooting the relatively defenseless guys down on the beach because I got great gun depression and good accuracy and they're kind of out in the open? Or do I, B, ignore those clowns for a little bit because really they can't do a whole lot for a while and help my team clean up top? So let's see what happens. Kind of foreshadowing already he's headed this way. So Dimmons decides to bail out of that north spot. And he would have to tell us, I don't know if it's a case of he just didn't want to deal with the 705, or he felt that position was lost anyway, or he didn't want to get into a crossfire, or he just wanted to go get the hit points down here. It's really hard to tell. Takes that guy out, so nicely done there. The Object 430, man, I think I would have loaded some Hesh. Those guys aren't paying attention. Yeah, there you go. Some Hesh onto this guy would have been fantastic. We get a 417, that's nice. I think the 140 knows you're here now. Oh, I forgot about this guy. This dude shows up. The LHMTV actually does a pretty nice job with Dimmons here. This illustrates one of the issues with dealing with these little Brit tanks is they're so small they can be really hard to hit. Put a shot on him. He puts another one into us. He actually does a decent job of trolling us, but I like with Dimmons here. He just pins this guy and then crushes him into our Dude, that was fantastic. That was one of the better things I've seen in this game in a while. We get a bounce off the 140. Okay, that's amazing, isn't it? But he's looked down, and actually that upper plate's fairly high angle even from this position. All right, let's pause here. So we're goofing around with a 140 who's hiding behind a piece of cover back there, who has shown no inclination the entire game of doing anything but sitting behind that piece of cover. Meanwhile, our team is doing a decent job but has lost a few, and I believe if your gun had been up there near the bowl, you'd have cleaned those guys up pretty dang quick, and then you could have swung back down and trashed these guys down below. So let's see how it goes from there. We got 3,300, so we've done a nice job, and that's when we sort of ignore those guys for a moment and head back this way. And you can see that the red team is all on one-shots back here, so they're really in kind of bad shape. I thought you were going to go up to the bowl, but it looks like you're just looking for a better angle. Did we go to Hesh yet? No, we haven't gone to the Hesh yet. Oh, we find this guy. So then we find the 50 TP, which I hadn't really accounted for, and that is why he is sitting right here. It's hard to fault this. The guy's here. You might as well take him out. There's no real reason to let anybody on the enemy team come by and turn him over, but I might have ignored him just a bit, knowing that I could probably get those hit points later, and come down here and started shooting the grill A. Now this dude is lighting you, but let's get rid of the grill, and then once he's dead, because he's actually actively fighting, then I can start working on him. But at this point, we're just taking the hit points. I like how you're going straight through the same. I might have gone towards the back of the tank, maybe towards the engine area. I don't know. The 140 has fallen back, and I think this, does this kill him, or do we take one more? There we go. So we finally get one more, get him down, and we've got the grill back here somewhere. He takes a big chunk out of us. And holy cow, the Hesh lets us down. That was the Hesh, right? You have Hesh on number 3, I believe you do. Yep. Hits the gun, and we get 40. This is why I cannot stand Hesh in HE. It just, it just does that. Of course, the shield was the only thing showing, and it was a small target, so the likelihood of hitting the gun was pretty high. Notice that up near the bowl and up top, your team has done a decent job. The Super Conqueror especially has done yeoman's work taking these guys down. And I'm going to be honest with you here. Dimmons, a great game, you know, 5,000 damage, got it. But I felt like you were farming damage in the secondary front. You know what I mean? The eastern front was collapsing, and you were sitting on the western front on the seawall before the invasion. But it's an important job. Someone has to do it, but it really wasn't the critical phase of the battle. And yes, you removed 5,600 hit points from the enemy, and that was important. And it's a good game. I'll keep saying that. But the question becomes, all right, but you know, better than what? What else could have happened? How fast could this game have gone if you'd have gone up top? I don't think the guys down below would have necessarily lost to what was down on the beach if you hadn't been there. Even if they had lost, it would have taken a long time. And had you gone up to the bowl and helped clean up the guys that were actually threatening your team, and then metaflex. I think I'm going to say it from now on. It's a metaflex. If you'd have metaflexed down to the beach, I think you'd have had a very similar result. And just looking at this, asking the question better than what, the place your team was going to lose was up top near the bowl, but that's not where you went. So I just throw that out. Again, the 10th time I've said it, I got it. Great game, fantastic. You were a big part of the win. 3 kills, 5,202 damage, 446 assists. But I think it's useful, you know, hindsight's 20/20, but it's useful to look at these and go, all right, what else might have happened? How could this have gone bad? And where should I have been to make sure that that thing didn't happen? Okay, all right, that's all I've got. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, the details are down below in the description, and we will see you.